everybody, and welcome to the lobby. We are so glad that you have joined us today, and I have my very special friend, Olivia.
Hi, Hattie.
Today.
Special friend.
I know. It sounded bad as it came out. She is my special friend.
Cool.
Olivia, I was thinking it just as we were starting, I don't know what your new title is, so I can't introduce you as like Olivia Carson.
Well, it's kind of the same, communications director.
Okay.
But then like there's an additional Williston campus producer.
Whoa.
But we'll just keep it easy and
Okay.
stay
You're so
with
fancy.
communications director.
But campus producer sounds very cool.
Whoa. Or whichever one you prefer.
I think because that's new, we'll have to have like the title up here. Definitely say like Williston campus producer.
I love that.
Like make a
I
big
definitely
deal.
agree.
Make a
I think
big
that's
deal
a
out of it.
requirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, David, hello. It's fun to have you on producer.
David.
It's my first time on the producer cam.
How
I'm
do you
pretty
feel
excited.
about it?
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm excited for you guys to be on the show today.
I know. I love
Yeah.
getting
It's
to
a
host
great
Olivia.
combo.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I actually haven't sat in, I don't think I've sat in these chairs in like a few months.
Yeah. Ever?
Well, no, because last time I was here, we were on the high table with like the high chairs.
Oh yeah.
And we're back in these
We're
chairs.
back in the
so
cozy
It's
chairs.
nice to
It was time.
The-
sit in these ones.
Yeah.
The really interesting thing is you were the first ever producer of the lobby for a very long
I
time, but
was.
you've never been on the producer
And then
cam.
you guys
So
get a producer cam
we're gonna-
after.
Do you remember though? I used to say like every week. I was like,
Every
we need
single
we need a
week.
producer cam for Olivia.
We did
And
talk
now
about that.
you're the
have
producer.
one.
I know it's for the Williston campus, but we'll make it happen so you can be.
One day.
I don't really get to make those calls, but I'm gonna say she can be the producer, right, guys? Right.
It took a few years to be on the lobby, so I don't have my hopes up.
At least there's no bitterness left over.
None at all. Olivia, you have your mom's cup here.
have my
We want to
mom's
say Happy
cup.
Mother's Day to all the moms who
Yeah.
are joining us.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy
everyone.
Mother's Day,
Day.
Olivia.
Thank you.
That's a very nice mug.
Yeah, I've brought it here before, but Pastor Aaron and his daughter Sam bought this mug
It's
for
very
me.
cute.
Shout out to them.
Are you doing anything special for Mother's Day today?
Just hanging out with my daughter. Gonna maybe make a meal for my mom.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. David, do you guys do anything special for Mother's Day?
Yeah, we always do something.
Yeah.
We don't have like a specific tradition or anything,
Okay.
but and then we usually either call or FaceTime our moms because we don't live near them anymore.
That's nice. We don't really have any like Mother's Day traditions. If you guys do, I'd love to hear them. You know, we just kind of hang out. I bake
Yeah.
my mom some food,
It's
something
gonna
good.
be like beautiful this weekend.
yeah,
Where we are, so hopefully.
I would like to go hiking if
Go
I could,
outside.
but
That's
we'll
what
see.
Joanna usually likes to try to go outside somewhere on Mother's Day, so we
That's
might do that.
nice.
I had a memory pop up on my Facebook today of a coffee cup that I gave Pastor Aaron
Aw.
a year ago, which is sad because it was my like parting gift for him. But you might remember, some of you might remember, I think you guys would remember, when we did announcements one time and they were all songs, and I gave him a mug with a photo of him being arrested with handcuffs on. Do you remember that?
Yes, I
yeah,
do,
it was
I
really
do.
good. I had
So
a
good.
cop outfit on. Who knows? It was a really weird set of announcements, but it was a fun time.
Very good.
And it came back up, and it's been a year since he's been gone. It's kind
Maybe
of
we
sad.
could like put a picture.
Yeah,
of
I'll show
that.
you. I'll send you a picture of the mug. It's a really special one.
Deal.
It's really nice.
Pastor Aaron did a lot of interesting things while he was here.
But he kept it lively, kept it fun.
did.
Yeah,
Yep.
very
He
fun
did.
around here. Olivia, something else I wanted to bring up is that you and I both have newer shoes on.
We do.
And you'll see where I'm going with this in a second, producer. Olivia and I have this conversation sometimes that when we get new shoes, it's a little nerve-wracking because we don't know what a certain someone on our staff is going to say about them. David, do you have any guesses?
Who might that certain someone
I
be?
get-
Do you have
So
any
nervous.
guesses? Who do you guys
Man,
think
it's
it?
probably Pastor Kylie. You know, she's just no, not Pastor Kylie.
No, not Pastor
Well, it's
Kylie.
It's obviously Pastor Jordan.
It's obviously
Yes.
Pastor
Yeah,
Jordan.
obviously
Yeah,
Pastor
I
Jordan.
actually our shoes aren't in this shot, right? Because I don't want to
You better tuck them
see.
in so
They're
nobody
behind
can
the
see
table
them.
at the moment.
That's
so,
probably for
yeah.
the best.
If Pastor Jordan says that he likes your shoes, you're going somewhere.
But then sometimes I wonder, is he just saying that and like secretly he doesn't like them, but he's just trying to be kind?
That's true.
Yeah. He said he liked my shoes today, so
He
I'll
does
take
not
He
that.
did
like
not
my
say that
shoes.
about Olivia's shoes.
Well, actually, I had asked about a year ago
Mm-hmm.
what kind of like basic white tennis shoe I could get, and he was very much against the kind that
I was in
wanted.
on this conversation.
And so for over a year, I didn't buy these shoes, but now I own them and I'm wearing them today.
How do you feel about them?
I actually walked in and I asked Pastor Jordan to not look at my feet at all.
I think they look cool. They're Air
They
Force
do.
Ones.
They're great.
Yeah, they are Air Force Ones for those who are wondering.
I think they're cool.
But she's still going to keep them hidden
you
under
like
the table,
them-
so no one
She's
can
not
see
going to show
them.
you. Yeah, good point.
If you like them, you can go ahead and comment that. If you don't, I don't want to hear it.
Give her the encouragement because Pastor Jordan.
Pastor Jordan's in the chat right now saying I don't like white Air Force Ones.
Leave me alone, Pastor Jordan.
But the nice thing, he said he didn't like them, but then he gave you a lot of other suggestions.
He gave
of
me a
shoes you
ton
could
of
get.
other options. I didn't get any of those though.
Yeah, good for you.
Stayed true to what I wanted.
Yeah. I'm glad you're in on this one, David, because I know sometimes you and Pastor Jordan talk about shoes on the lobby.
Yeah.
And I never know what you guys are talking about because it's like a whole different category
Well,
of shoes.
I'm certainly not on Jordan's level when it comes to shoes and things.
Yeah.
It's more being like a former basketball player and a basketball coach. Shoes are kind of a big deal in that world.
Yeah,
so I'm,
that makes sense.
I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
somewhat familiar, and I have a couple pairs of nice tennis shoes that I like. But he has a different level of understanding. But he does have some sweet shoes.
I wish he
gotta
could,
give it to him.
Yeah.
just like come in right now and tell us how many shoes he has. Give
I
us
think we've actually
has a
talked about that
ton
on
of
the lobby.
shoes.
So just go back and watch every episode of the lobby
until you find the one
yeah.
where Pastor
That's a
Jordan's
great
talking
idea.
about. Yeah, that's a really good thought.
There's
thought.
100 of them, so it
Yeah.
won't take you very long.
Not long.
Also, if you ever meet Pastor Jordan and he tells you he likes your shoes, that's like you're like in with Pastor Jordan.
Yeah,
So
you
I
guys
hope
are
that
probably
happens
friends.
for you guys.
Good luck.
Yeah. It's springtime around here, which is really nice.
It is,
Olivia, our producer's laughing. I am going somewhere with this producer, so leave us alone.
That was an excellent transition, though.
Happy spring, everybody.
spring.
Which is a lot for us because it's been blizzarding lately.
It has
Yeah.
very much been, yes.
If you Olivia and I both live in an apartment complex. We're
Mm-hmm.
neighbors, and we don't get to have gardens. But if you could have a garden, what would you plant in it?
Okay, well, my favorite thing to pick from a garden are carrots.
Okay. Is it because you have red hair?
Patty, are we special friends?
We are special
Aren't
friends.
carrots orange?
So is Olivia's
So
hair?
Hattie's here complimenting my hair. I'm gonna
You
take
just
it as
said
a
it's because
compliment.
you have red hair.
Carrots are okay.
You know what I mean.
No, she's going in the route that when I was in middle school, I was called Carrot Top.
Right, and you just
Carrot
talked
head,
about
carrot
this. I
top.
had a message,
Hey.
which is probably
Are
it
we
was
bringing
really
this
good.
up now?
No, it was so good. Uh-oh.
Ollie, could you say the word orange for me real quick?
Orange.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's one in the list of like 50 words that you guys make fun of. me
Whitney-
for.
We have a lot of fun.
We love hearing you talk with your weird hybrid of Virginia
Thank
and
you.
North
Yes,
Dakota accent.
it's really good.
I just wasn't aware that I was coming here to get like roasted today.
No, we love you, Olivia. We love your shoes.
Definitely.
We love your orange red hair. We love how you say that face.
We love that terrifying face you're giving us right now.
Well, back to the garden thing though. Unless you were intentionally wanting me to say carrots, because yes, I did.
I didn't think you were gonna say carrots.
I didn't either. That
yeah,
surprised me.
yeah, I was very surprised.
Now all I can think about is Shaun White.
So you wanted to talk about the message.
Well, I think
from
you brought that
students.
up.
Do you know Shaun White? Do all redheads know each other? Is that a thing?
No.
Oh, that's too
No.
bad. He seems cool.
Olivia gave a message at youth group last week, and it was really it was so good. It was really good.
Thank you.
And she had a picture of her next to Shaun White when you were like in what, middle school?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the comparison is uncanny. It's really good. I definitely, if we could get that up, that would be really awesome.
Not available.
Lots of extra.
Not
editing this week.
available. Oh, it was so good, Olivia. You were so cute.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'll talk about carrots another time because it is time for us to go.
Wait, I need your
into
answer
no.
quick before we jump
Oh,
into
what
the
would
service.
I
What
would
would
do
you
like
plant?
those peas. I get peas and
snap
beans
peas?
confused. The ones that you like open up and then you eat the like
Oh,
peas
sugar
that are
snap
inside.
peas?
Yeah,
Like a
those ones.
snap pea?
Yeah. What
Those
about
are
you?
good.
Whatever Joanna wanted in the garden. If we're talking vegetables.
Yeah.
Vegetables.
Yeah.
Now
That was for you,
David.
Olivia.
David, could you please say that word again?
Vegetables. It would be like bell peppers.
Okay.
'Cause I love bell peppers.
Yeah. Don't you just like want to go outside right now and have a garden and plant a million
I
things?
sure do.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Okay.
But first, let's go to the service.
Yes, but first let's go
Yeah.
to their service. Again, we're so glad that you've joined us today. Happy Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Happy
To
Mother's
all those
Day.
moms out there, we hope you have a great day celebrating, and let's go worship.
Bye.
Hey, New Hope family, we are so excited that you joined us at New Hope here today. We have an awesome service prepared for you. Our series is continuing. Jesus
Yeah.
never said that. It's been a really cool
It's been
series.
so fun.
Yeah, I like it a lot. We've got some great worship, but before we get into any of that, we just want to encourage you to fill out a Connect card. If you're joining us live, you can always find a link for that down in the chat, no matter where you're joining us. Or if you're not joining us live, you can always find it on our website or on our app. The Connect card's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's probably on the table next. Just let's pause quick. You check the table next to you. No, still not there. It's not there. No, but
Next
it
time.
is on the app. Yeah, next time it will be there. next time it'll be there. But for now, you can find it on the app or on our website. You can always find a Connect card there and fill it out. Just a great way to connect with us. Let us know if there's any questions you might have that we can answer for you. And our favorite part of the Connect card is there's a spot for prayer requests, and we would just love to know how we could be praying for you this week.
Yeah, and in the chat right now, you can find a link for our New Hope Here Kids.
Yes.
It's a great way to distract your children while you're trying to watch the message.
That is one of its main tools. It's also a great way for your kids to interact and learn more about
It is.
Jesus
It's very
in a way
awesome.
that's designed for them. But Michael's not wrong. It's a really great way to distract your children during the service. But if you haven't checked out New Hope Here Kids yet, if you have kids that are with you as you're joining us at New Hope Here, we really want to encourage you to
Yeah.
do that. It is so incredible. Pastor Andrea and her sister Anna
Yeah.
have
The dynamic duo.
it is ridiculously fun. If you ever hear cackling in the background, it's probably Michael or
It's
myself.
me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to film it, and they're doing these crazy things. I'm like, that's funny to me. I
Yep.
can't imagine what kids
Yeah,
are thinking.
It's a really good time, but it is a little more than just a distraction because it teaches them about Jesus at their level, there's different levels of it for preschool and for elementary
Right.
school students as well. So make sure you check that out. You can always find it when you're joining us live in the chat as well, or you can go to our Family Ministries page on Facebook.
Yep.
And then the last thing we want to talk about real quick is Starting Point.
Yeah, it's
And
coming up.
Yes, it's coming up May 29th. We love Starting Point. You'll be able to hang out with me and Hattie, and we're going to have such a great time. It's pretty short. We just hang out for like 30, 45 minutes. We talk a little bit about the church. You get to meet some people, get to connect with us if you haven't done that yet. Sometimes I throw
I was
chocolate.
gonna say you try and throw candy at
I
people
do.
virtually.
I try. I
It's,
haven't.
It's not Willy Wonka, you know, like
No.
where they transport the.
We haven't stolen that technology yet from Willy Wonka.
We gotta figure that out, though.
We're working on it. We have our best people working on it right now. Until then, I'll just keep throwing it at the camera screen. But go ahead and click that link in the chat right now and sign up for Starting Point, or just fill out a Connect card and let us know I'm interested in joining Starting Point on May 29th, and we would love to have you there.
Yeah, so let's worship together, church.
I am weary from the waves crashing over every day. God of mercy, please come rescue me. I am longing for your voice, gentle whisper in the noise. Father, tell me everything's alright. Your power and your presence break strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. You alone can take my scars, piece by piece restore my heart. Take what's broken, make it whole again. Oh, your power and your presence break strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. break the walls apart, open the heavens. Almighty God, you are overcomer, defender of my heart. By your power, the oceans open wide, the fire falls down, heaven and earth collide. King Jesus, forever by my side. Your power and your presence break strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough in your power, in your presence break strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. There will be breakthrough.
Jesus, what a Savior, what a brother, what a friend, lifter of the lowly. God, you meet me where I am. Jesus, what a Savior, what a brother, what a friend, lifter of the lowly. God, you meet me where I am. Your heart, it knows no borders, knows no walls. You're constantly moving towards me with open arms. I've never known a love like yours. I've never known a love like you. I've never known a love like yours. I've never known a love like yours. Jesus, what a Savior, what a brother, what a friend, lifter of the lowly. God, you meet me never known a love like yours. Oh, I've never known a love like yours. I've never known a love like yours. Jesus, what a Savior, what a brother, what a friend, lifter of the lonely. God, you meet me where I am.
Well, hey, church, we want to just take a moment and talk to you about giving. It's something that we talk about every week here, and that's just because it's just so important. It's important for us as the church to be giving of our tithes and our offerings. And I want to talk to those of you who specifically call New Hope your home church. This is a time for us to give through the church. 10% of all of our giving goes out to impact people all around the world so that they can hear the good news of Jesus, so that they can be in community with other believers and grow in their faith. So if you call New Hope home, this is a time to give. If you don't call New Hope your home church, we really want to encourage you to find a church wherever you're at and to give there. So all of the information is on the screen right here, and we want to encourage you to give.
Yeah, let's pray together, church. Father God, we just come before you today, and we're so thankful that we get to be together and worship together. And right now, we're thankful for the gifts that our people are giving, and we just ask that you bless that and just multiply it for all the ministries that it goes to throughout the world, God. And today, we just pray for the message that Pastor Mike has and Kylie have to share with us. And we just ask that you just open our hearts and our minds to what you have to teach us today, and help us to apply it to our lives and make a difference. God, we thank you. We pray this in your Son, Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
My kids really respect my privacy. Dinner's in 10 minutes. Make sure you grab a snack. Honey, could you please kick the back of my seat?
Thanks for doing the laundry, everyone.
It's just too quiet in this car.
It's so nice once your kids are grown. You never have to worry about them anymore.
I'm loving the look of the crumbs on the floor.
Just leave your dirty dishes on the counter. I love the smell of your feet in my face.
Remember, if your sister takes your toy, just give her a good smack on the head. Boogers, just wipe it on your sleeve.
Drive fast, take chances.
Oh, sweetie, if you could crawl in bed with me around 2 a.m., that'd be great.
Nah, don't call me when you get there. I don't really want to know where you are.
I never have to repeat myself. They always listen so carefully. I just spent 2 hours making dinner, but if you don't like it, that's okay. I can make you something else.
Hey, come take anything from my closet and don't worry about putting it back. Hey, why don't you come dig through the fridge for the 5th time today?
Good frowns. Grandma's gonna love these.
I get a ton of unsolicited help with the housework.
No, don't look at the camera. Look over there. Look over there. No, you don't need to wash your hands.
No, just leave the fridge open. I love how clean you guys keep this car.
You wanna play some games and use up all my battery?
Hey guys, you don't need to hurry. We're never late.
Don't even bother looking for that. I'm sure it's lost and gone forever.
Hey, I'm taking a shower. Anyone want to come bother me?
Fight!
Hey, if you make a mess in the kitchen, just let me know so I can clean it up. Hey, walk away when I'm talking to you.
We always listen to my music. Let's pick a song that you guys like. Sorry, I can't hear you. Could you use your outside voice?
No. Wait to use the bathroom till I hop in the shower.
Get a massage? Ooh, no thanks.
I don't know. Your dad usually does everything around here.
I'm always so bored. I just never have anything to do.
My kids are the dumbest kids in school. I can't do it.
Well, happy Mother's Day, New Hope. So glad that you're with us on this Mother's Day weekend. And for those of you who join us regularly here at New Hope here, I am not alone, and that is a very good thing on this Mother's Day weekend. This is my wife, Kylie, Reverend Kylie, and I love team teaching with her. And one of the reasons she's with us is because we're taking the message in a little bit different way on this Mother's Day weekend, and quite honestly, I needed her help.
Well, I was going to say, at the start of this message, it might not sound as encouraging as you would expect on a
That's a
Mother's Day
warning.
message. No, but we'll get there. So just hang with us on this. We're in week 3 of our Jesus Never Said That series, which has been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, basically the premise is there are things people say that they sound wise, they sound like they make sense, they sound like that's a good biblical truth, and it's got to come from the
It
Bible.
fits on a magnet on my fridge, so it's got to be good.
It's great on a bumper sticker. It's what you say when you're not really sure what to say. But in reality, they're not biblical at all. And so we've been just kind of tackling those. And so we thought we'd have a little fun here at the top, though. Some of those phrases, those things that we're used to hearing that sound good, but really aren't true.
Yeah. So we Googled just some common pieces of advice or slogans. And here, I'm dating myself with this one. Is this one still in use? Yeah, it's the Nike slogan. If you know it, put it in the chat. It's just do it. And it sounds so motivational, just do it, until you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you feel the urge to jump. That may not be the best advice in that moment.
Probably not. Another one that I think we hear a lot of times when we're little kids, has been around a long time.
Yeah.
Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can never harm me.
And it's supposed to make you feel better, but the problem is words do hurt, right?
100%.
Yeah. Here's one that I heard recently, and this one's a fascinating one. Fake it until you make it. Basically, it's saying, just lie until you don't have to lie. I'm going, how is that good advice?
Right? Muscle through,
Yeah.
whatever. Another one, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Every TED Talk motivational speaker has used that one. It's
I
like,
know.
yes.
Yeah.
You know?
And yet, I mean, honestly, a lot of the things that, at least for me, a lot of the things that I really, really love, there's some aspect about just in learning or whatnot, or some aspects of it that are not my favorite, but to get to where you want.
Yeah. I found this one. This is from kind of a classic rom-com, romantic comedy. True love never has to apologize. That hasn't been true in our marriage.
No, that has not been true.
Last time I checked, true love apologizes a lot. At least I do.
Or at least it should.
Oh, I think we may need a moment there, but yeah.
My favorite,
Yeah.
and you'll see this on sitcoms from time to time. If no one comes from the future to stop you from doing it, then how bad a decision can it really be?
I like that one. That's a good sci-fi. Yeah. You know, if no one stops me, was that from Terminator? You know, where is that from? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well, where we're going today, we were with a group of parents several years ago. And one of the moms, just in kind of an honest moment, was talking about how hard it is to raise kids. And it is hard to raise kids. Ours are young adults, and we're still raising them. But she said this, and I've got it written down. She said, it feels like I'm taking a final test for the most important class of my life, and no one ever taught me where to find the answers. And parenting feels like that sometimes, doesn't it? And some of the other parents around the circle, especially the moms, agreed. Another mom got even more honest in the moment, and just in a moment of bravery said, is it okay for me to admit that parenting is too big and that raising kids, life for that matter, is just overwhelming sometimes, and I just don't know how to do it? And everybody kind of went, oh, wow, you know, that's honest. Should we admit to that? And it kind of fell silent, and then someone said, and you can almost hear it a little spiritual sounding, can't you? Someone said, but we need to remember that God promised us that He will never give us more than we can handle. And everybody kind of awkwardly went, oh, yeah. And you could see the guilt set in. Because basically it's saying, suck it up, pull on your big boy pants and get over this, because God will never give you more than you can handle. And you've probably heard it. I know we've heard it when someone gets hurt, when a downturn in the economy comes, and the most damaging is when a tragedy hits. Someone says, listen, you can get through this. God will never give you more than you can handle. And it's kind of a taunt, saying this isn't that bad, suck it up. Get over it.
Well, and basically on Mother's Day, I just want to ask the question, does that help? Because for me, I'm kind of a, hey, suck it up, let's get it done, don't whine kind of person anyway. And the frustrating thing with that, it's hard for us, I think, as moms to admit when something's hard and when we need help. And when someone actually basically says, hey, just suck it up, because, God said that if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're just a wimp, that you're fine, it's fine, everything's fine. And it just kind of takes the wind out of your sails and really isolates, I think, in a lot of ways. So the question is that something that actually is in the Bible? We're going to put on the screen just this question. Did Jesus really say that He will never give you more than you can handle? Well, let's take a look at the scripture that this has been pulled from. There is a scripture that people use as a basis for this. Yeah. So let's take a look at it. The scripture is found in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, and it says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so you can endure it.
That's what it says, right? It says not beyond what I can bear, right?
Well, let's take a look at what it really is saying and what the point of it, what this verse is teaching us. We'll put that right there on the slide as well, or put that on the TV, the screen here as well. And that's simply that the truth about temptation is not sinning is always an option. So it's not talking about life's not going to get bigger than we can handle, or our circumstances aren't going to get out of our control to be able to handle. It's saying that when we are tempted, not if we're going to be tempted, or if there comes a point when we're tempted to sin and the things are just going to go that way. It's not if we're going to be tempted. It's when we are tempted.
So we will be tempted.
We will be tempted. We know that's going to happen, that we will always have a choice. And that choice is not going to be so big for us that we cannot make the right choice. It's never going to be an impossible choice. You can't avoid temptation, but you can escape temptation. You don't get to say, as a follower of Jesus, you don't get to say, yeah, I sinned, but there was no other option. I didn't have a choice. If the Bible's true, there's always another choice to giving into that temptation. Satan would love for us to sin and to miss out on God's best for our life. That's why we face those times of constant temptation. But God's leadership, God always has the better choice for us. He doesn't let us take a temptation test that we can't pass. So that's what that's talking about. It's very clear. The Bible is very clear that we can be easily tempted to dismiss God's leadership, to choose sin, but He always gives us a way out from choosing that sin. Now, that's not to say that life's going to be easy and that there's an easy way out from that sense of suffering or those sense of hard places and hard decisions.
And that's one of the things we've been discovering in this series is so many of the things that we've assumed to be true. There is a scripture, but it's been taken out of context. And that's the case here, is we think it's talking about circumstances when it's talking about temptation. Yeah. Temptation is a choice. God says, you will always have a choice to say no. But what do we deal with? What does the Bible have to say about circumstances, which is what everybody's referring to? And that same biblical writer who wrote that passage in 1 Corinthians, it was a letter to a church called Corinth, wrote another letter called 2 Corinthians. In 2 Corinthians 1 verse 8, he's talking about his own experiences. And listen to this, we'll put it here on the screen again. We do not want you to be uninformed, brothers and sisters, about the troubles that we experienced in the province of Asia. In other words, when they were traveling. We were under, catch this, great pressure. And we'll underline this next part. Far beyond our ability to endure. That sounds like more than they can handle.
Yeah.
So that we even despaired of life itself. The guy who's writing this is the Apostle Paul, and this is the guy who, when we first are introduced to him in history, he thought Christianity was a bad thing. He thought it needed to be wiped out. He was highly educated, highly passionate. Then he had a personal encounter with Jesus, and that education and that passion was turned to helping people discover Jesus. In fact, he wrote about 2/3 of the New Testament, and he was the first, maybe the best missionary and church planter in human history. And here's the guy, this kind of saint superhero Christian, who says, yeah, I've experienced things that were far more than I could handle, far more than I could push through. Life and God allowed something that overwhelmed me. So to help us, we talked about the fact that the Bible does make it clear that God will never allow us to be tempted more than we can handle, that we can choose to say no. But there's a difficult truth that this passage is teaching us. And we'll put it on the screen. The difficult truth about life is not suffering, not experiencing pain is never an option. Not that we always experience it, but because we're in this life, because we're in a world that's been infected, affected by sin and its curse and its consequences, stuff is going to happen that's going to be hard.
Your little nugget for Mother's Day to make you feel good.
Yeah, are you ready for Mother's Day? We're here to make you feel good. This is why we gave you the warning up front. So to clarify, when it comes to what Jesus never said that he won't allow more than you can handle. He said, I will never allow temptation more than you can say no to. But he did imply, and the scripture does imply, that stuff will happen that's more than you can handle. Let's look at that verse in another translation. It says, we were crushed and overwhelmed beyond our ability to endure it. And we even thought we would never live through it. And the Bible is filled with the stories of godly men and women who are overwhelmed by life. There's a great book, okay, not so great book, hard to read book in the Old Testament called Lamentations. And it's all laments of a guy by the name of Jeremiah, who his nickname was the Weeping Prophet. That sounds like a guy who's enduring more than life can, or more than he can, enduring in life more than he can handle. Read the book of Psalms. I love the book of Psalms. It's encouraging. But I think you could probably put a subtitle on at least half of the songs, I can't take it anymore. I don't know. Can we set that to, we better not. I'm not gonna take, okay, forget it. She sings, I shouldn't be allowed to sing. But look at Jonah. God sometimes allows what feels like a fish, and for him what was a fish, to swallow you, and you're in the dark, and you don't know how to get out of the dark, and it's beyond your ability to endure, and your only choice is to call out to God to help. See, a more than you can handle season is not an elective.
Right.
It's a class that all of us will have to take at some level, sometime, and the truth is, it can be a repeated class. So I know the question is, are you saying that God causes the things that will overwhelm us and hurt us? That's not what we're saying. Don't confuse that. But sometimes he will allow it because we live in a world that's been affected by sin. And until it's fully restored, when we're in this world, it's going to happen to us.
Yeah, well, and here's kind of where we shift to from the bad news, the dark news, which I always like the bad news first, because then the good news, you end on a high note. Where the shift is suffering is a given that we can rely on. We are going to have trouble. But here's what we don't expect, that there is good news about it being too much. And that good news, the good news about suffering, is that suffering can be redeemed.
Sounds like such an oxymoron. Good news about suffering.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think redeemed is one of those words we're not as familiar with. It's a very pervasive biblical concept that we lose a lot because we don't really use that word. But simply redeemed means that something costs. Something has a price, and it can be turned into something good. That God, in His goodness and His greatness, can take those scars, those challenging things, those times when life's been too much, and He can turn them into something good. Sometimes that being in that place of being overwhelmed and where life is too much can turn into exactly what we need, which again is an oxymoron. It sounds weird. Let's take a look at that next verse as Paul was talking here in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 9. He says, in fact, we expected to die. There have been times. I'm telling you. But as a result, we stopped relying on ourselves and learned to rely on God who raises the dead. And he makes that distinction as to what God can do. Or if we look at that in a different translation, and I really do enjoy reading them from the Message because it gives you that personal feel. Reading that in another translation, as it turned out, it was the best thing that could have happened. Instead of trusting in our own strength or wits to get out of it, we were forced to trust God totally. Not a bad idea, since He's the God who raises the dead.
So when we say suffering can be redeemed, how can it be redeemed? And really, as we walk through this, we want to ask two questions. Why does God allow it? And then what do we do with it when life is overwhelming? So the first question, why does God sometimes allow us to experience too much? And the answer is so that we can learn to rely on Him. And the reality is, it's not just our world that's been twisted by sin. I've been twisted by sin. So much so that the only way you and I will learn to rely on Him, the only way, is to be in a place where it's our only choice. Because for most of us, that's really the only way we'll learn that totally and completely. Jesus knew this about me. He knows this about you, that, I don't like to ask for help. I don't like to need help. And Kylie will tell you, I always like to have a plan, as blizzard in North Dakota like we experienced, a while ago, or not too many weeks ago, and I've got a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. Here's what happens if we do this and that. Now, inevitably, we go on to something and have to do something that I never planned on.
Right.
Because I think that I can somehow control it. And why do I want to control it? Because I don't want to be a wimp. I don't want to ask for help. And I'm often blind to the fact that I need help, and I need help. But I was created to need God. We're actually going to talk more about that next week. And I'm never in more desperate shape than when I forget how desperately I need God. I need to say that again. I'm never in more desperate shape than when I forget how desperately I need God. And that's why too much is actually often what I need. The Apostle Paul talked about this, and he learned this. That's why he could teach this. And again, in 2 Corinthians, he said, so to keep me from being proud, in other words, God allowed something to protect me, I was given a thorn in my flesh. We don't know what that was. A messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from being proud. Could have been something physically, could have been a real annoying person around him. He said 3 different times, I begged the Lord to take it away. And each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. And God allowed this spiritual attack. Why? And he says it himself, to help him grow, to keep him from being proud, from being self-reliant, and to deepen his reliance on him. This was Paul. And if he needed it, you and I need it. And listen, I don't want us to miss this. You and I will never know just how strong the grace of God is completely without a season where the strength of his grace is all that you have to get you through.
Yeah. So we asked the question why.
Yeah.
And we just unpacked that. That next question, that second question, is what do we do? And I'm an action kind of person, so I really like that question. What do I do? What do we need to do? When it feels like life is too much, what do? Well, we admit it's too much and ask for God's help. And I mean, that seems a little simple, but if we look at that passage that you just walked us through with Paul, we get caught up on that thorn in his flesh. We get caught up on what was that. And he was caught up on that. It was just kind of ever present. I don't like this. I want to move past this. But God's response to him was, but my grace is sufficient. You're not looking at my grace. You're not seeing what's there and what's available. God doesn't give us the grace instead of weakness. He gives us grace in the middle of that.
That's good.
Weakness.
Say that one again.
God gives grace, doesn't give grace instead of the weakness, our weakness. It's not like a swapsies with that. God gives grace in the middle of our weakness. When we reach that point where we admit, I just can't handle this. This is too much for me, and we ask for his help, when we cry out for his help and we pay attention to that grace that he has offered, that's when we experience his grace. That's when we grow the most in our relationship with Jesus. Not that it's easy or fun. Right. Honestly, a lot of those times, it sounds easier to say and it sounds warmer and fuzzier to say that. It can be really challenging in the time, but he gives that grace at that time. And I tend to be a little bit of a lone ranger and independent, but often he uses his people to bring that grace to us, that he works through his people. So we'll walk through what Paul wrote again here in 2 Corinthians. He said, once I heard that, I was glad to let it happen. I quit focusing on the handicap and began appreciating the gift. It was a case of Christ's strength moving in on my weakness. Now I take limitations in stride and with good cheer, these limitations that cut me down to size, abuse, accidents, opposition, bad breaks, I just let Christ take over. And so the weaker I get, the stronger I become.
So admit that I need help and ask for help. That seems incredibly hard for most of us because I don't want to be a wimp, whatever. And the deal is, though, that's just the first two steps. And as hard as those are, often the third one is even harder. But it's the one we need most. Because what we discover is God's grace often, you just said it, God's grace often comes into our lives best through his people. So after we admit and ask, we lean into God-centered friendships. Here's what Paul said. He said, we have placed our confidence in him and he will continue to rescue us. So we've admitted and we've asked, and you are helping by praying for us. A little bit earlier, he said it this way. He comforts us in all of our troubles so that we, catch this, can comfort others. When they're troubled, we will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. See, often what happens, and this is where what you said earlier, suffering can be redeemed. And here's how God does this. So when I go through a time where I'm overwhelmed, if I learn to rely on God, he'll turn that suffering around and actually equip me to be able to then give someone else the same comfort. Instead of, you can tell people have really gone through it, because the people who really haven't gone through it and learned to rely on God, they spout these platitudes and these cliches like, God will never give you more than you can handle. The people who've experienced it know that's not true. And they'll be the ones to truly come alongside of you and to truly help you experience grace.
Yeah, and I think we often underestimate how much God prepares us for what he's called us to through those hard moments. I know for me, the areas where I've experienced the greatest hurt and some of those deepest isolation moments and broken dreams and just really challenging times when I felt it was way too much for me, I started noticing things in other people that I may not have noticed before. You start seeing other people's hurt, and you start finding those areas where God is calling you to make a difference, where God is calling you to be the hurt person who helps people, the hurt person who reaches out. You gain a sense of compassion and connection that I don't think you experience in other ways. He redeems that hurt, the pain, the wounds, and those seasons of life. Not that they're fun times or that I look back on them with fond memories, but he redeems those and brings something out of them. If we let him, he can turn those scars into our story, that he can turn them into a story that helps someone else when they're experiencing their own time of too much. And it might look a little different than your time of too much, but I think we can recognize and identify when someone's just struggling and they're kind of going down for the last time. We get a little less judgy and a little more compassionate for those that are in those places. Instead of hearing us say to them, well, God just won't give you too much, they start hearing our story of hope. Yeah, it's a lot. It's too much. I understand why you're struggling. You can ask for help, and God will bring healing. There's going to be scars that come out of this, but those scars can be redeemed. So we can ask God to turn our scars into those stories for healing other people, of healing for others.
And one of the amazing things about the church and why the church family is so important, why being in a small group is so important, why being in a gathering, for those of you in New Hope here, is so important, is because God's family is filled with stories of those like you and me who have gone through overwhelming times and overwhelming seasons and learned to rely on him, and the scars that are found in those stories turn into a story that can bring comfort and help. So one of the things I've done before, and I've done it in person, so I don't know how well this is going to work online, is sometimes, and I just kind of want to close this way, sometimes I'll go through a list of stories that I know are in the life of our family, of our church family, not just one time over, but dozens of times over. And in person, I'll ask people to stand up and just be brave. So everybody looks around the room and go, oh, that's not just my story, that's their story, that's their story. And God's redeeming all of our stories. Online, we all can't stand up. So maybe you want to do that in the chat, or maybe you just want to realize this church family gathering in-person campus across our network is filled with stories of people whose scars have been redeemed and suffering has been redeemed. So we're just going to list some things. And if you're in the chat, say, yep, that's me. Or you can just say, yeah, the church family, that's me. There's other stories just like mine.
So the first of those is if you've lost a family member or a close friend.
If that's you can just say, that's me. Or maybe you've gone through a divorce, or someone close to you has gone through a divorce. That's a lot of us. And God's redeemed even in those moments.
If you're struggling with or have struggled with or lost someone to cancer.
Or maybe, and this one will take bravery to admit, you're struggling right now, or you have struggled with addiction. You aren't the only one.
Financial stress, I think we all have been there at one point or another.
Here's a hard one, and one we're becoming increasingly aware of. Mental illness, or someone in your family struggling with mental illness. That can feel overwhelming, and you wonder if you're all by yourself.
Dealing with aging parents, usually feeling that pressure on both sides, because you have aging parents you're concerned about and kids leaving the nest.
Maybe you've got a family member who's just in a bad place, a spouse, a child, they're just in a difficult place. And here's what I know about us across what we call New Hope Network, New Hope here, or New Hope in-person campuses. There are scars. And when life is more than we can handle, we learn that God's grace is more than we can imagine. And what do? We ask for help, or we admit that it's too much. We ask for help, and we lean in. In just a few moments, our hosts are going to come on, and they're going to talk about how to start a gathering. And I know we keep talking about that over and over and over, but the reason we keep talking about that is because it's so important. It's in those places that God will redeem the hard parts in our life and turn those into great stories to help one another. So I'm going to ask Kylie to pray for us.
God, we thank you so much that you are present even when we don't feel you in those difficult places, in those hard places where it's way too much for us and we just can't handle it all. We thank you that you redeem those scars, that you redeem those dark places, that you redeem where we are, that you never leave us, that you walk through those times, whether we presently feel you or not, and that you can turn those scars and those times of darkness into a story, that you can continue to work in and through us, that you can use us to be people who help heal instead of people who hurt. And we thank you and ask for you to continue to work in our lives. We give it all to you in those difficult, difficult times. In your name we pray. Amen.
Well, hey, church, we hope that you found today's message valuable and that it encourages you to take a next step.
Yeah, and like Pastor Mike said, we want to take a minute to talk to you about gatherings. But first, I want to read you a real quick passage of Scripture. And you can find it in Matthew 9, and it's just at the end. And Jesus is walking with his disciples. He's going from village to village, and he's healing people and forgiving people of their sins. And in verse 36, it picks up and it says, "When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, 'The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest.'" And that's what we are doing here at New Hope here. We are praying because we need workers, because around you there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that don't know the Lord, and they're lost and they're like sheep without a shepherd. And we are just praying that you might be that laborer that goes out into the field to work the harvest, because man, there's so many people that need to know the Lord, and we might never have a chance to reach them, but they're in your neighborhood. They work with you. Their kids go to school with your kids. Whoever they are, maybe you meet them in line for coffee in the morning. Whoever they are, you could just invite them to come to your house, watch church, and they might get to know the saving grace of Jesus. And I love when Pastor Mike, he closed out his message and he said that we're not given weakness we're not given grace instead of our weakness. We're given grace in our weakness.
Yeah,
and coming out of our last series, My Story Matters, all of us have a story. And those stories matter because those stories are what God uses to impact other people's lives. And you have a story, and that story might be the thing that impacts your neighbor, impacts your friend, impacts that person you meet for coffee in the morning. So we really want to encourage you to click the link that's in the chat right now, or just fill out a Connect card and say, man, the Holy Spirit's been talking to me, and I think I might want to talk a little bit more about what it means to host a gathering. And we would just love to have that conversation with you. It doesn't mean you're committed. Next week you have to have 10 people over to your house.
That's a big commitment.
That is a big commitment. It just means we'll have a conversation. We'll get on the phone, we'll get on a Zoom call, and we'll talk to you about what that looks like.
And we heard in a lot of those stories too, it started with one invitation.
Yeah.
One really simple invitation. And maybe it led to 2 or 3 more invitations, but that's what caught people to be interested in faith, to be interested in Jesus. So again, we just really want to encourage you in that. And also we want to share with you, if you haven't checked out our Grow podcast yet, it's really good.
It's awesome.
You and Pastor Mike
It's
have
mostly
a lot of
Pastor
fun.
Mike, but I'm there.
It's good.
We do have a lot
and
of fun.
And it's pretty funny sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
It's fun to get Pastor Mike going on like a random tangent before we kind of dive into the topic.
But it's really good because Pastor Mike goes deeper into whatever he taught about on a Sunday. So if you're looking for a little bit more, you want to go a little bit deeper, this is also another great way to invite somebody. You can just share the Grow podcast with them because it's short, it's not too long. Comes out Monday mornings. We really want to encourage you to check that out. You know all the details. I forget where it's at.
Yeah, you can find it on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube. The video podcast is on YouTube, so I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/New Hope Here, and you can find all the different podcasts. I think we're at like episode 45 or 46, something like that now.
You have to have a party on 50.
We'll have you on for a party on 50. Okay. I'm making it official. Hattie's going to throw us a party for our 50th episode.
Okay, I love parties. It might not be like the most in-depth podcast, but I'll throw a party.
Perfect.
I can do
That's
that.
a perfect plan. But yeah, the new episodes always come out on Monday. I'm still waiting for someone to let me know, hey, I wake up at 6 a.m. every Monday so I can watch the podcast immediately when it goes up. There's no reason to do that. Don't do that. Sleep in a little bit and catch it on your way to work or something. But anyway, thank you again so much for joining us at New Hope Here. It was such an awesome service today. And next week our series is going to continue. Jesus Never Said That. So make sure you join us back at 9:30 or 11:15 live, or you can always find the service later on demand. Until then, let's go and be the church.